This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with the Miele dishwasher with an F14 error, which indicates that the circulation pump is not able to create enough water pressure to really clean the dishes, and you get the intake drain light error or maybe F14 on the display. So first we're going to make sure we have unplugged it or turned off the breaker so we don't have power. Prior to that, it'd be good to make sure you have run a drain cycle so you've gotten most all the water out of the dishwasher. There'll still be a little bit left in the sump, but it's good to get rid of as much as you can. And we're going to remove the filter, and then using a turkey baster and a cup, we'll just get rid of the 1 or 2 inches that it's left in the sump. This way, when you turn it on its side, there won't be as much water that'll end up on the floor. So we pulled it out away from the cabinet, and because they've given you usually enough of a drain tube length and also intake length, it's pretty easy to pull it out of the cabinet without having to uninstall those parts. We're going to take off the drip pan now. That'll let us get this drip plate off. So to put our partition kit on, we're going to remove the motor, and to do that we just got to remove a few connections. First we'll do the electrical. These are the electrical connections for the motor itself. So we're just going to push down on this little lever and we can wiggle that one off. These have these little push downs right here. Wiggle that one off. Get the earth connection, the green one off. So those are the connections for the motor. Those are gone. And now we're going to do the one for the heater pressure switch. We're going to take off the ground connector. And then there's one connector on this model. Other models have more. This one just has one connector in the back, a blue one. Push down on the tab. Wiggle that one out. And we want to rotate the switch toward us. That little clip comes loose, and then we can pull it out. That's the heater pressure switch. It's good to get that out of the way because otherwise it's kind of hard to get the motor out. We're going to take off this modular connector. This is for the top solenoid. This is the one that sends water just to the top arms. We can disconnect that. Get that disconnected. And now we're going to do these hoses. We have this hose and this hose. We use these hose clamp pliers. Makes it a little bit easier. Get that out of the way. Get a little bit of water coming out. Wiggle this one off. Alright, get those out. Get that little bolt off. 5/16 little bolt. Just get that off. Okay, so we got the hose connections off. We have the electrical connections off. Now we can bring the motor toward us. We're going to pull the back part out first. And sometimes you want to use a little standard head screwdriver to give you a start. This is somewhat flexible, so you can push this back and then get that motor coming towards you. And then it'll slip out of its connection here in the sump and also here. There we go, and there's the motor. So the reason we're putting in the partition kit, and we're going to be putting in a new run capacitor is the motor will run, circulation motor runs, but it doesn't run long enough. It cuts out as if it's under duress. It could be that there's just some corrosion and the impeller can't move as freely as it should. Another reason you'd put a partition kit in is you may find that there is a leak coming out of a little weep hole right here. Water is dribbling out. And this one, I don't think we have that going on, but I think there is some corrosion. So just took off this panel, just set that off to the side. That's not gonna, we're not gonna do anything with that one. And we will be replacing this seal. I'll give you a new one with your partition kit. Next thing is you got to get off the impeller, and to do that you need standard head screwdriver. We need a pair of pliers or channel locks to grab here. They're going to give you a new impeller too. So remember, these impellers are kind of funny. They're opposite threads, so instead of going righty-tighty, it's going to be righty-loosen. And we just got to put a screwdriver in here to keep the motor from turning as we do that. There we go. Alright, that loosened up. So go ahead and get this impeller off. So again, you're turning it to the right, which is usually tightening, but in a lot of pumps, it's opposite. So we can see old one and the new one. A little bit corroded. Could be the trouble. So this should help. Okay, now at this point we can take off this panel, just lift it up. It should come off. And we notice that a little bit of corrosion on the inside of that one. And a little bit of rust on that shaft. Alright. So now we put on our new piece. It's only going to go on correctly one way, so let's make sure we got that right. There we go. It's just sitting right on top. That's great. Okay, and we have our new impeller. So we're going to put that on, and we're going to tighten it up opposite of what you would think, right? Lefty tighty. Get that in there tight. Now we're going to put a screwdriver in there to hold these from moving. I'm going to be moving it to away from me, lefty tighty. Alright, I'm just turning it a little bit further than hand tight. And then we'll put on our new seal. Just fits in this little groove here. Go. And we're going to put this piece on. This one back in. Go. screws. Have that set at 14. So we got a new impeller. The other thing that could be causing a weak motor condition is just the degeneration of these copper windings. In that case, you would need to have a new motor. Very expensive. Okay, so we've got our motor all done. I'm going to put it back in. So we just want to look at the alignment, make sure this rubber seal is still there. Sometimes they fall out. We're going to come in at an angle and then we'll push it on in. These little pins will click in right here. Start off at the angle. Take your time. And then we're going to push that in. This flexes. And then it's going to go back. I want to try to get those pins in so they click. There we go. So that locked in. We got to make sure to put that screw in. We're going to start putting everything back on. The hoses goes there. This one goes here. Heater pressure switch. So we're going to push it in this way, and then we're going to turn it 90 degrees, and this is going to click in right here. You got to make sure that thing clicks in. So I'm going to put this in this rubber grommet. That's the first step. And then I'm going to rotate, keep pushing in until that engages. Alright, so I'm pulling back on this thing and it's locked in. So just make sure, push it down enough where it locks in to position. Alright, and then got to make sure we put its electrical connector back on. It's the blue one, and the ground. And it'll only go on one way, so you can't do it wrong. Alright, so that one clicked in. We have our electrical connector back on. Put our ground connector back on. Put this motor control back on for the power. Can only go in one way, can't get it wrong. Blue's on the left, tan's on the right, and then we'll put in the ground connector, as they say in Europe, the earth. And we're going to put on the power for the top solo solenoid. Got that, got that. These hose connections tight. Okay, got that, got that. Good. Got all of our electrical. Alright, we're going to put that little bolt back in to hold the motor in position. It's a 5/16.
Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance. Thank you.